Chapter 1 Reborn. In the far outer reaches of the multiverse, Ink was drawing away when he heard the loud sound of lightning. What in the creators is that? Ink said as he then teleported over to the location where he heard it from, seeing that it was at the edge of the multiverse where a large portion of it had been destroyed by some black fog-like thing with red lighting. What's going on? Ink said, looking around as he saw a use beginning to get sucked into the darkness. He then used his brush to get rid as much of the smoke he could. As he did, it only revealed another sands-like figure floating inside the smoke, being reconfigured and remade by tentacles coming from the smoke. The figure had a long white hood with some fluff on the outer rim of it. Assant? Hey, just what do you think you're doing? You're destroying the multiverse. Ink shouted. Inside the skeleton's mind, whispers and chants rang through his head. You let them die all for mercy, said the voices. Destruction, they said. Hate is what you bring, they repeated. You let William die all alone, Ten said, as with that the skeleton woke up with beating red eyes and black tears running down its face before it then looked down towards the random skeleton near it. Ink instantly put his brush away as to not look dangerous to the figure, as he then backed up a few steps with his hands raised. Hey look, I'm not here to harm you, okay? Ink said. What the hell is this place? Where am I? Where's Jacob? The skeleton shouted. Who? Jacob? Is he your friend? I can dash. But before Ink could finish, the skeleton lifted up its hand, summoning a black blade that seeped with corruption and hate as he then swung it towards Ink, sending him flying backwards. They're denying you your vengeance, said Ten in the skeleton's head. You're the Alpha now, no one can stop you. No one can best you. Kill this fool and then topple this world until you find the one who would dare strike you down. Until you find Jacob, Ten whispered. Ink's body jolted and twitched in pain as he tried crawling to his brush. Arg. What was that? It didn't feel like anything else I'd been hit by. Ink continued to crawl as Alpha stared at him and a nearby place. Dream and Swap were looking at the events happening with shock and despair. What's happening with the multiverse? A large portion of it, rumors of a new killer going around and the white demon, and now this? Just what is happening? Dream shouted as Swap then noticed a shadow began to emerge from theirs. Hey Dream, I think Ink W dash. But before Swap could finish, he was decapitated by what looked to be an unknown force, with his body falling off the blaster. Dream got his boy and looked down at the shadow only to see nothing. Show yourself. Dream screamed, firing several arrows only to have it destroyed moments after he and Ink were casted to fall hundreds of stories to the ground. Dream woke up moments later as he felt his head beating and in pain. He looked over and saw Ink lying down still unconscious. Dream got up only to have something he couldn't see grab him by the neck. Now finish him and then next the rest of this cursed multiverse, Ten said. Alpha got ready to stab Dream only to then get blasted by a random blaster, sending Alpha miles back. Dream looked up in shock. Ink opened his eyes for a bit as he then saw Error standing above him. You know, there's a reference I could make here. But that's beneath me, Error smirked. Alpha looked over at Error and Ink as he saw Error pointing and laughing at Ink. Look at you, down on floor and another man beating your ass. Is it Saturday already, Ink? Error chuckled. Fuck off. Ink stuttered as he got up onto one knee. Who the hell did you piss off this time, Squid? Error said, smirking. I don't know, I'm not sure who this is, Ink said as he got up weakly. Alpha looked at them with annoyance as he then turned into smoke. Oh shit. Error shouted. Oh no. Ink said, only to get himself kicked in the face by Alpha, who then got wrapped in strings and slammed to the ground by Error. I don't know who you are, but this ends now. Error said, only to have Alpha come to him and kick him in the jaw, nearly breaking it and sending him flying backwards. Ink watched with mild amusement. Alpha and Error traded blows until Alpha stabbed Error in the shoulder, and then blasted him away. Well, this could be going better, Error said as he got up weakly. He thought to himself on the strength of this foe. Alpha looked to Error and then teleported to him, stepping on his chest. Ow! Gonna guess you don't have a thing for personal space, Error grunted as Alpha lifted his blade only to get pulled back by a blue force. Error got up and looked over. Ink looked towards the blue force too, only to see 404 holding Alpha in the air with his blue mastery. Took you long enough, old man, Error said, annoyed, but grateful. I leave you alone for a second and this is what happens, 404 said as he looked over at Alpha, seeing the dark figure walking towards him in Error. Ink got up weakly as he saw 404 standing there. That pale skeleton again. Ink thought to himself as Error got up and stood next to 404. So what's the status? 404 asked as he then threw Alpha far back using Blue Mastery before using a Dark Blaster next to stun and knock back. Error then also used his blasters to keep the heat on. It looks like some weird, ghost-like guy seeing how I noticed as I entered Dream nor Swap could see him, Error said. Swap is here. 404 said. Well, he was, Error replied as he saw Swap's head in the distance. Alpha got up and deflected a few of the attacks before sending a giant slash attack towards 404 and Error, who dodged out of the way. 404 looked at Alpha and tried studying his code only to have it blocked from him viewing it. Error tried as well but had no luck either. The hell, why can't I scan this guy? 404 said. No luck with me either. Error said. Ink got up as he watched the fight continue to go on. 404 dodged and fired a God Ray only for it to go through Alpha. Error looked in shock. Whoa, now that's a new O-dash. Before 404 could finish, Alpha tackled him. 404 grabbed onto the blade before it could stab him, but it began to burn him with the hate and corruption seeping into him. Alpha began punching and headbutting him only to then have Error wrap his strings around Alpha's arm. Error tried pulling him only for Alpha to yank his arm, pulling Error to him so he could clothesline him. Is this what you've been wasting your time on for all these years? A stupid boy and your puny little beams. Alpha smirked as he picked up 404 by his neck, lifting him up and then stabbing him multiple times in the chest. 404 coughed up blood as Alpha gained widely. Time to die, so-called god of the multiverse, Alpha said as he got ready to decapitate 404 only for Alpha to dodge an attack from Ink. 404 fell to one knee, healing himself as he saw Ink get in front of him. You, 404 said. Don't get it twisted, I'd still never work with you. But I believe this is a good conflict of interest, right? Ink said with a quirky smile, with 404 looking back at Error, who only shrugged as he got up. Hey, you better just keep the banter to us, Squid. 404 said as he kept healing and Ink kept holding off Alpha. Equals. 404 watched as Ink battled with Alpha, dodging and weaving around attacks. He then looked back at Error as he tried getting up. Dédani. Even after all that training, I still can't even match up against guys like this? No, I am stronger, it's just this guy is on some whole other level, Error thought to himself as he watched Ink then smack down to the ground. This isn't good, we need a plan of attack on this guy, 404 thought to himself, but then he turned back and looked at Error and then back to Alpha. Or maybe we just need one person, 404 said to himself as he then got up weakly, finally healing himself completely. Hey Squid. Don't die just yet, 404 said as he ran over to Error. Go Error, I have an idea, 404 said with confidence. Why do I have a bad feeling about this, Error said as he looked to 404 who was looking at him too. Alpha knocked Ink to the side, sending him far back. Ink held his side as he was heavily wounded. 10, invisible to everyone's sight, watched everything unraveling. They tightened their grip on Alpha even more than before. Highly impressive. Far better than your last resurrection in the multiverse before. Do you recognize him even? Does not matter now though. This will be an excellent opportunity to collect some data for the next encounter, 10 said as they stabbed their tentacles into Alpha and began to buff him even more, pumping cosmic essence into his soul and body. We can always start again, 10 said as Alpha's body began to infuse itself with his blade, turning his body into a sword-like skeleton fusion with his head something of a long blade. Everyone looked in shock at the transformation, with Ink and Error being the most horrified and 404 staring in complete disbelief. Ah yes, just like an old king I pull you out of the ground, my mighty blade, my unbreakable blade. My holy sword Excalibur, 10 said as Alpha's head split open, revealing rows of teeth as he howled into the sky, striking fear into the entire multiverse. Chapter 2, Excalibur vs. God. An unsightly beast it was. The skeleton they were fighting was now a large abomination with many arms and a sword-shaped head. Error was frozen in fear along with 404 and Ink. Holy shit! What the fuck is happening? Error screamed as Excalibur roared at him and ran towards him. Boy, move! 404 shouted as he then used Blue Mastery to push Excalibur, but all it did was then grab of the energy coming from Blue Mastery and turn it into a blade, shocking everyone. "C'est impossible!" 404 and Error shouted out, Excalibur then reverses the effects of blue mastery onto 404 and moved the blade around, sending 404 flying around and smashing him into the ground and into air and ink until he finally smashed him into the floor. Ack. So. That's what that feels Lee dash. But before 404 could finish, Excalibur smashed its foot on top of 404, crushing him nearly to death. Excalibur roared only to get blasted by Error's blasters. Error then used his strings to string up Excalibur and kept blasting and summoning bones to stab into the large enemy. But it was no good, for Excalibur then gathered up some strings using one of his many arms and turned his strings into a sword, to which he then swung at Error, wrapping him in strings. Arga! Jesse, what the hell is this fucking thing? Error grunted as Excalibur escaped his strings, and then pulled on a piece of the multiverse and turned it into a sword as well. Okay, that's just... I don't even know what that is. Error said, only for Excalibur to lift up its blade and stab him in the stomach. As it twisted and pulled, Ink then jumped on its back. Hey pal, sorry, can't have you wrecking up everything. Ink said as he then teleported him, Error and Excalibur away to Reapertail, to which they all then began to fall down the side of a faraway mountain. Error summoned his blaster to stop his fall, while Ink grabbed a hold of it to prevent his fall too, while they watched Excalibur fall down a large canyon. Phew, talk about a lucky break, right? Ink chuckled, only to have Error grab him by his scarf and pull him close to his face. You idiot! Do you have any idea what you've done? Thanks to you, my master is all by himself after getting smashed into oblivion. And your grand idea was to send us to this shithole? Be lucky I need your ass, otherwise I'd have your head placed on the front of my blaster. Error shouted in anger. Whoa. Last I checked you came to save me. Besides, the heck was I supposed to do? Let that monster start destroying everything and have us all be toast. Sending us to a was my only choice. Ink said. You mean your old idea, seeing how your brain lacks any means of making up others, you goddamn bonehead. Error shouted. Wait a second, were those big words? Your vocabulary is getting better, glitchy. Ink said, only to get pushed to the ground by Error. He scoffed and looked at the cliffside. 404's eyes began to open as he saw Chara. But Chara looked dressed in dark cogs and with dark longer hair. See, Chara? Is that you? What's going on? 404 said as he tried to get up, only to get a spike of pain and fall to the ground again. It's such a pity, white demon, such a pity indeed, said a figure with menacing glowing eyes. Who is that? Who's there? 404 said weakly as he tried to reach out to Chara, who backed up towards the dark figure, who wraps his arm around Chara's waist. Fine treasures your home had. Yes, I think I'll be keeping some of these precious things, hey. The dark figure chuckled as it walked towards him, coming barely into sight, showing an orange color to his head. Don't worry now, soon we'll meet, and when we do, well, let's just say that you'll made into an example of what playing God gets you. Till next time, Blue, said the figure as it disappeared, with 404 passing back out again. Soon afterwards, 404 would wake up again with King Multiverse nearby. Oh boy, what a treat. The so-called god of the multiverse beaten to bloody pulp just for me to finish off. King Multiverse said, only for 404 to get up, causing Cam to cower away scared. You! 404 said weakly as he struggled to stand, as KM looked at him slightly unsure on his status. Are you? UKM questioned. I'm alive, you dolt brain. 404 said, much to KM's disappointment. Ugh, where am I anyway? Or better yet, which part of the anti-void is this? 404 asked. Man, that thing really did hit you hard. You're back at King's quarters, or my domain that you so kindly gave me, Cam said as he sat on his throne. 404 looked around, still dazed and hazy, as he looked over to King Multiverse. Where's Error? 404 asked.